A town known for being tough and dangerous, where harm can lie around every corner. No, I'm not talking about inner city Detroit. I'm referring to the Belle circuit. A recent addition to the iRacing service, this track has quickly built a nasty reputation among the drivers. While it might be a pitfall for some, for others it could be a stepping stone and a chance for an unusually good result. We'll see which it is for who as we get ready to watch Round 5 of the Precision Racing League's American iRacing Tuesday series. And you'll see it all live here on the Global SimRacing Channel. Hi, I'm Joe Peak, and with me in the booth is Taylor Burris. Behind the scenes is our director, the Dr. Amjad Yaman, and he's using cameras provided by Dougie Beard. Taylor, this track has thrown up some of the wildest races on GSRC, so before we get caught up in the chaos, tell us about the track.
Well, of course, and welcome everyone to the Motor City here in Detroit, Michigan, Belle Isle. Locate this 2.3 mile, 3.7 kilometer, 14-turn track is by far one of the toughest street circuits here on iRacing. Of course, one of the best racings that we've ever seen here throughout all of GSRC, as well as in the real world with sports car racing. It's difficult for some drivers to master. It's going to be a fun place for watching excellent passing opportunities, as well as just watching these cars go through here. It's going to be a nightmare for some and a really fun time for others. Now, let's hop on board for a GSRC lap guide.
All right, we're in the GSRC 4 GT, so let's do a lap around Detroit. Down into turn 1, these are two of the fastest corners on the track, and you gotta be careful about the car getting loose on entry and exit. This crest has garnered a reputation for being unforgiving, and you'll understand why once you drive it. Heading down towards turn 3, you'll drift it across the track and then be ready to defend or attack, because this is one of the few good places to pass around this circuit. That tire barrier on the outside is just waiting to snatch you up, so be careful about how aggressive you get into this corner. It's a short little burst of 4, which can be taken a bit faster than you'd expect. Quickly, you'll switch sides, and then 5 is going to feel supremely tight. It's off camber with a tall curb on the inside and a wall that creeps up on you on exit. Then there's a rise at 6, which is likely to give you some understeer. It's important not to get a bad exit on this turn, though, because it feeds onto the backstretch. This is one of the longest acceleration zones of the track, so you really don't want to find yourself under attack here. It's particularly tricky in the braking zone, so battles that erupt can often lead to an early end to your race. From turn 7, we feed into the fountain section. It'll be pretty much all single-file racing here unless someone screws up horribly. Even then, you gotta be careful not to plow into the back of the car ahead if they do clobber the wall. Turn 11 will be surprisingly slow and has some pretty nasty bumps right in the middle of it to add to the difficulty of getting the power down. 12 and 13 are going to be a real test of bravery. No runoff with tall curbs on the inside. These bends are basically about how fast and how accurate you can be. Plus, being slow could put you under attack into turn 1 because you won't be lifting around 14. But hopefully, you've now finished a lap around Detroit. There you see a lap around this very difficult track, and well, if you want to get better at racing around places like Detroit and iRacing, you could be helped by SIMMSA. The Simulation MotorSports Association is a sim racing platform created by experienced racers. Established in 2015, the association is bringing together organizations and communities to further promote sim racing globally. Concentrating on all sims worldwide, they offer a focused opportunity for sim races to compete with each other. They also provide consultancy services to this growing eSports world. SIMMSA offers solutions for racing simulator requirements, custom-built simulator parts, complete customization, and upgrading of existing simulators. You can find them at SIMMSA.net. Make sure and go check them out. So, this championship has been a fascinating one. We still don't have drop weeks in this yet, but let's take a look to see where things sit. Carl Modop, 3 fourth places so far. That means that he is still leading this thing, even though he's won only one race. Ben Perez sits in second, just about 4 points back. And the surprising thing is Jesper Derlicka back there in third, especially for those of you that are aware he's won 3 races now. Well, part of that is because, well, Jesper had a bad race at Imola. We expect when the drop races come in, he will immediately jump to the top. Christian Eisler down in 4th has jumped up 2 spots. William Whalen, with a bit of a bad race last time around, gets demoted down 3 spots to 5th. What about the team's championship in this series, Taylor? What are we looking at there?
Well, the team's championship is always going to be heating up. As we take a look at that team's championship, It's going to be Team Bushfink right now. They still have a great gap over their rivals of the Sailor Racing team of Pinto and Gama, who actually gained a position. They're only 67 points back from the Bushfink team. Fury Simsport with Harwood and Janowski have been doing quite well with finishing these races. They gained a spot and moved into the 3rd position. SDS Racing, though, however, had a rough week last week out at Road Atlanta. The Montini brothers dropped 2 spots and moved to the 4th position, while HJ Motorsports with Thacker and Hall and the 2 Fords are progressively working their way up. They now move into the 5th position, Joe.
Not surprised to see them start to climb up the order in the points with the consistent results they tend to get. Now, if you've never watched one of the American iRacing Tuesday Series races, why don't we bring up our race details and give you a little rundown. We are in round 5 out of only 10, and they do get that single drop week that we talked about. That is going to be very, very handy for Jesper Derlicka later in the season. The 3 cars there you see there are the 3 different makes you're allowed to run. They're all GTE class cars that they're running in this series. Now, 45-minute race today, which is about 15 minutes shorter than what we had last week, still has a single pit stop because they have restricted the fuel cells from what they have in real life. But even though they've restricted that, they've kept the setups open so the drivers can tweak them to their liking, which will be very important on a track this bumpy, needing to try and find a compromise on how you set up the car. The incident limit you saw means that they get disqualified after 30 incidents out there on track, and they don't have a spare car in this series, which significant at a track like this here, Taylor, because damage is so easy to come across. And speaking of which, is that part of your keys to the race for this week?
It's pretty much the entire section of keys to the race for here at Detroit. One of the biggest things drivers are going to have to watch out for is watch out for those curves. If you notice right here with Wayland making his qualifying, you saw those curves right there. It's very easy to go over those curves, and it'll either make you get really loose or cause some damage to the under tray, or get really loose to where you'll end up in the wall, either towards the outside or inside of those walls. You've got to be really careful. If you notice right here, coming up onto turn 2, it's very loose through that section, so drivers need to be careful in that section. Along with lap traffic, pretty soon these drivers are probably going to be catching to the tail end of the field, just so how difficult this track is, and it's very difficult to make passes, so they'll need to be careful, keep alert, and watch out for track being blocked later in the race if we have a major incident. So Joe, I'm really looking forward to this race.
Yeah, I am as well. It should be a little bit unpredictable, we expect, at least once it gets to the checkered flag. The passing is tough, but boy, danger is lurking just at every apex, at every track out. So you will see some DNFs before today is done. Daniel Pinto, currently in 7th, now into 8th. Actually, he just got overtaken by Ben Perez, who was not looking too good in warm-up either. He's still down in 7th. Still waiting on a win this season is Ben Perez. The Hoosier has been up there, and obviously his points show that he is getting decent results, but he's been challenged certainly by a number of drivers. A couple of them up at the top, Modoff being one. Wayland's been fast, but look at this. Here's a driver we haven't seen up top in a while. Christian Eisler currently has the pole.
Yeah, Christian's been having a real good run, mostly running towards the back of the top 5, towards in middle of the top 10 for most races, but here tonight he's starting on the pole and showing some very good speed.
Modoff with his consistent results, probably happy to be up towards the front right now because it's going to be tough to pass around here, which is another talking point. We've been keeping an eye on Jesper Derlicka. He currently sits in 13th for qualifying, and last week he started on the pole. We were saying to each other, of all the places to have a bad qualifying, this is not one that you want that.
Yeah, this is a place where you did not want to be starting in the middle of the pack. You want to be starting up towards the front 2 rows in order to pretty much survive this track as best you can. So, but we're really going to be keeping an eye on Jesper tonight. That number 97 Ford GT looks pretty strong, but looks like there might be a sign of weakness here at this track for Jesper.
Comes across the line. Let's see if this one's any faster. And it is not. So Jesper's got a few more minutes to try and improve on his qualifying time. This race last year was at the very first race of the season, and That was a duel between Pinto and Perez. Looked like Pinto could take the win. He was up front for most of it, and he threw it away on the last lap with a mistake that actually almost took out Perez as well. And it took many, many races for Pinto to then take his first win, even though this was his very first race ever in the series here at Detroit. Hopefully he can do something with this 8th place, considering he is not looking as dominant as he was last season. Taking a look at Valenzuela, currently sitting in 17th and not going to improve this time by.
Unable to get through that corner properly and ended up hitting towards that inside wall right there. And that's one of these things. There's no safer barriers here, so when you hit that concrete wall, if this was the real deal, it would have really hurt.
Yeah, no doubt. So we watch Modoff come around. Let's see if he can improve. He's currently sitting on a 24-7. And it looks like we are on an outlap looking at his current lap timing. So it'll take at least one more time around for him to try and topple Eisler. There you see our pole sitter at the moment. I talked about Ben Perez being a little bit back there, sitting in 6th, but he's actually terribly close to both the cars in front of him. Gama and Montini are less than a 10th in front of him, so it won't take a whole lot for Perez to try and improve his position. This time by, that's not going to be the case. Still a little bit down. Actually, no, that was an outlap for him as well, for Perez, it looks like. Modoff coming around now. Club West driver coming onto the backstretch up this little rise. One of the most crucial corners on the lap here out of turn 6 there, Taylor.
Yes, it is. It's very easy to lose the car through that section. And then right here, as we're making our way towards the fountain section, you have to get really hard on the brakes through this section. Otherwise, it's not going to be pretty if you make towards the runoff. You got to watch out for the curves right here, especially when you're coming up towards the fountain turn right up ahead.
He's abandoning the lap. Doesn't like it. I'm not sure if he's going to have enough time to get out and back around and get a flying lap in. So Christian Eisler, as we watch him, will he be our pole sitter? Can anyone do anything? William Whalen looks to be coming around. He is within 2/10 of our pole sitter. And this is a warm-up lap for him.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be able to do anything this lap. He's going to have to really put the hammer down coming to the line right here. He has enough time to at least complete one lap before end of qualifying session.
I'm not sure if Montini is aware he's got damage, as this lap definitely won't count. He goes way off on the exit of turn 3. But he's got significant wing damage there, so that's certainly not going to help him try to take the pole away. Ricardo Gama is the next one behind him, sitting in 5th. Got a few drivers that are back out, going to try and get that one last lap in. Right on board with Gama. Lots of traffic out here. This is open qualifying. He's tailing John Guillory right now, who's sitting in 20th. And this is not going to be a good lap for Gama, so looks like he is going to end his qualifying. No, I think he's just looking for clear air.
Been quite impressed with Ricardo Gama. He's been running really consistent races here early on in the season, especially putting on that good performance at Suzuka. Was quite impressed with how well he was running in the top 3 all night that race, and looks hopefully like he's going to try and improve upon that here tonight at Detroit.
Modoff's going to come across the line. Is this one an improvement? No, it is not. Oh wait, no, this was his outlap. Excuse me. We saw him abandon the last one.
I don't know if he's going to be able to make it. Got 20 seconds left.
Well, they will be allowed to finish their hot lap. The bad news for him is Eisler is currently behind him on track and has just started his own hot lap. So he could still get it back after Modoff crosses the line. Checking to see if anybody else could potentially snatch this away. It looks like the first one across is going to be Montini. He's sitting in 4th, but he's still dealing with that wing damage at the rear. He's got clear track in front of him. No one to hold him up unless they make a big mistake. Actually, William Whalen is in front of him. So Whalen will be the first one to be able to try and take away the pole. Coming up to 12, 13, and 14. The last sequence of corners. Very tricky, these right-handers. And flat out through the last little kink up to the line. His lap is off, so this is not going to be a good one for Whalen. Montini abandons the lap, so does Gama. Modoff also decides that's it. Wow. Nobody is going to be able to take down Christian Eisler.
Comes Alexander Cofford. See what he's able to do. He's one of the faster Ferraris here tonight. He's running quite good in the practice session early on, up towards the top 5. If he comes to the line, I don't think he's going to be able to improve.
Nope. I think that's going to be it for all of our qualifiers. So, as we get ready to look at the grid, with everybody having gotten their laps in, Christian Eisler is the fastest. Is this a return to form for the Iceman? Karl Modoff will start in second, with William Whalen beginning in third. Francisco Montini is P4 with Ricardo Gama in fifth, Ben Perez in sixth, and Daniel Pinto in seventh. Then Mark McDonald, nice lap from him to start eighth, Cofford ninth, who we followed across the line, and Joseph Janowski will be P10.
Starting in the 11th position will be Jean Carini at number 13, followed by Federico Montini starting in 12th. Pete Mabroden in the number 15 Porsche will be starting in 13th position, followed by Jesper Jerlicka in 14th. Jean Guillory will be starting in the 15th position, followed by Thomas Ellison in 16th. Takeshi Kita will be starting in 17th position, followed by Michael Derby in 18th. Cristobal Valenzuela will start in 19th position, and Alex Albert will round out your top 20.
Into 21st, Maxi Sorella, followed by Justin Hall with Hugo Galaz starting in 23rd. James LeBlanc will be 24th today. Aaron Thacker starts P25 with Lucio Vargas in 26th. Karsten Quint will start in the 27th position with Gary Schilling in 28th. Giuliano Romagnolo did not put a time in, but at the back of the field in 29th with Wendell Lowe starting 30th. So thankfully not too big of a field.
Actually, looking at the entry list, both Giuliano and Wendell are out, so they are not going to start here tonight at Detroit.
All right. As we see, the cars aren't going to run a full pace lap, thankfully. Just have to come around the last two corners. Then we get going for 45 minutes of racing here at Belle Isle here in Detroit. This track has seen, as Taylor mentioned, lots of sports car racing over the years. It's seen IndyCar come back time after time, put on some really stunning races. And it is quite windy today, as you can see from the trees. A 16-mile-an-hour wind. Track temperature, thankfully, looking pretty grippy at 84 degrees, Taylor.
Yeah, it's going to be very nice weather for these drivers. Not too much issues with being slick conditions. It looks like it's going to be very nice for them to be able to handle some of these very loose type corners, especially such as turn 2 and a little bit later on through the fountain section. So looks like it's going to be a good race here today. Joe, I'm looking forward to calling this race, since last time I called this race was my first time actually calling anything for GSRC, so looking forward to come out here to this race here today.
Yeah, glad to have you back for this one. Should be an entertaining time, that's for sure. Just a few more cars waiting to get gridded up. As we watch the clock tick down, Romagnolo and Lowe, the last one, so we might have to wait until that clock reaches 0. And here we go. They've moved it on. So let's get going with the roof pace car leading them around turns 12 and 13. Let's see what our front row can do. Christian Eisler, Karl Modoff sitting in a great position to try to run away with this one. Could we see some clever strategy from cars behind, such as William Whalen? Pace car peels in. Eisler has control. Green flag is out as we go racing here in round 5 of the American iRacing Tuesday Series. Immediately up into second place for William Whalen, sneaking by the car of Karl Modoff. Through 1 and 2, the real question mark is going to be down out of the hump here on turn 2. Are there going to be any spinners? So far, it's clean. Now they come up to the heavy braking of 3, Taylor.
Yes, indeed they do. Everyone seems to get through smoothly as far as those in the top 10. Oh, as we got a spinner right now, Federico Montini gets a little bit loose, but is able to recover nicely.
Thankfully, no big traffic jam back there because of that. Looks like they all got through.
Looking through the field right now, no major issues. Everyone's getting through those nice and clean, those pointers. But here comes another hard braking section coming up where a lot of calamity could happen.
Yep, down into turn 7. Nobody up at the front close enough for a pass. Seeing if we get anybody really taking a look. They seem to be spreading out. First real battle is back between Ellison and Albert, who get it sorted out. And actually, cars are really stacking up back here in the back of the pack.
Yeah, they're going 2 by 2 as they make their way in the fountain section. James LeBlanc and Aaron Thacker. Aaron Thacker was able to get on the outside and make the pass. Now LeBlanc's got to worry about Vargas, but Vargas gives way.
Yeah, I think he knows better than to try and tempt fate here on the first lap on a circuit that really rewards playing it a little bit safe.
Former teammates going at it each other as it comes to the line. Perez and Pinto. Let's see what happens going into turn 1. Give Perez the position into the top 5.
And Pinto now under threat from McDonald. Oh, and Pinto finds the wall on only lap 2 with a hard knock. He has to take a tow. His day is over early. Take a look at the replay. Go ahead.
Kind of looks like the incidents where that Chevrolet pace car happened at the IndyCar race almost. Just got a little bit too loose through that section.
Here we see the pass. Eventually has to give way and let him through. He's a little bit offline. Do you think maybe that put him off and caused the incident?
That could have happened too. And of course he made a little bit of contact with the wall too. So that could have also been a factor as well.
Whatever the case, the results are a DNF for Daniel Pinto as we jump back up to William Whalen, giving chase to our pole sitter, Christian Eisler. Whalen has moved up to second right from the start over Carl Modoff and has not looked back since.
Oh, we got a big checkup here in the fountain section.
And Jesper Derlicka was involved in that. This was about 40 seconds ago. Looks like also had John Guillory stacked up there.
A lot of drivers were involved, but surprisingly not a lot got too much damage to the issue.
All right, here's Derlicka coming onto the backstretch. It had happened, as you said, in the fountain section. Thankfully, he took a tow, and it kept more incidents from happening, but certainly cost a lot of people time because he was almost blocking the track.
As they head down towards this back straightaway section into the hard braking zone and just loops it around.
Oof. One of those HJ Motorsports cars gave him a good clatter on the way through, too.
Yeah, it looks like his night will be done.
Wow. And as we mentioned, we already have one bad result, a 0 points day at Imola for Jesper Derlicka. This is going to be another one, I'm pretty sure, unless he can get that car back out there to try to salvage something. So that'll hurt him in the championship. Seems to be a bit of an all-or-nothing season for Jesper.
Pretty much. Either he's up towards the front winning races, or he'll just not able to finish the race, unfortunately.
Watching the leaders still. This is onboard Eisler looking back at the Porsche of Whalen.
Clinched the curb.
And the wall. Just slams into it. Whalen doesn't need 2 times of asking. He takes the lead away. How hurt is the car of Eisler? Let's watch it from above, and he's going to have to wait a while before he can even come in for repairs if he wants to make it a one-stopper. Tree didn't really let us see, but yeah, he clattered that curb.
He hit that curb way too hard, causing him to get into the wall. Looking at his car right now, he does have a little bit of damage towards the nose of the car as well as the right side. So that is going to cause some major issues as well for him for this race if he's not able to get that fixed. He dropped back down to third after Modoff made a pass.
Yeah, now that we're back live, you see that Carl has moved himself up into second. Gama going to be the next car challenging. And they've also got Ben Perez closing in on this. And the Ford that you see in there is actually Jesper Derlicka, who did get back out on course. You can see he's letting cars go by because he does not have a horse in this race now. He's just basically trying to get to the checkered flag and scalp any other cars who have wrecks.
Yeah, he's just trying to recover as much damage. Ooh, John Carani.
Ooh. Going backwards on a track at a blind corner seems like a dangerous proposition. Let's watch what the Ferrari does to get to this point.
It's almost a shock that it did not disqualify him after that.
Just clipped the tires. It looked very similar to Drlica's incident. The rear just came around and he found the tires. Boy, he's lucky that no one ran into him. He could have so easily just gone head to head with anybody who was coming up to him and slammed into them. That would have been day done. It's like Gama trying to overtake Eisler. Can't quite do anything with it. So maybe Eisler's now found his feet.
He might have. He's able to hold off Gama even though with that damage. So let's see what he's able to do right now. If he's able to hold off and gain time or just be able to stop the bleeding and hold on to that third position before pit stops.
He's clearly losing ground on Modoff at this point. As they come down to turn 7, Ricardo Gama, another corner where he's not close enough to make a move. He's got to watch out because before he knows it, could have Ben Perez all over top of him. Out of the fountain section now. Just riding into the tire tracks of the Iceman. Hard to find many places to try and overtake. This is usually not one of them. Through 12 and 13. Could sometimes set him up for turn 1, but you brake so little for that corner. I have to imagine in these cars, it's not easy.
No, it's very difficult to set up a pass to right through here to set up for turn 1. You're going to have to really wait to see if they make a mistake out of 2 and try to get right beside them to set that pass up for turn 3. Gama's not close enough to do anything right now, but one small mistake from Eisler and Gama will be right there all over him.
Yeah, Christian really got a great run off the hump. You can see that's keeping Gama at bay. In the background, we saw Ben Perez have a little bit of an off in the grass as he pushes to stay with these two. Not missing anything up front at the moment. Do have a slight battle behind them as well between Crawford and McDonald. This is for 6th position. Down into the turn 7 right-hander, entering the fountain section. Yet again, neither one really making enough of a mistake. One thing we haven't talked about a whole lot that is one of the defining features of this circuit, Taylor, is the bumps. What does that do to the setup of the car? What kind of things do you have to try and do to adapt it to make sure it can get around here fast?
One thing is you're going to have to work on that suspension quite a lot to make sure that that car is able to go through the bumps quite easily. I know a lot of people try to use a little bit of the Sebring setup just due to the fact of how bumpy Sebring is. And it sometimes is able to work out because it's just such uneven pavement. This pavement here is not like a racetrack. This is street circuit. This is the actual street. So where it's very difficult, very different changes. It's actually different elements happening to these tracks, conditions. So it's constantly changing throughout the race. So you have to be prepared to make those adjustments to help the car get through those bumps as best as they can.
Let's go back about a minute ago because Aaron Thacker had what we on GSRC call an Austin Powers moment.
Watch right here. With Aaron Thacker, Mr. Consistency, doing quite well.
He comes... All right. This is up to turn 6. Watching Thacker now. And it happens in the fountain section that the car just seems like it busts out on him. See, he's not around anybody, so this is all just driver error. It's after turn 7 here coming up.
Third position, Eisler, Gama, and Perez are going at it right now. They're coming out to the final corners.
So we come back live, and it took a long time to get turned around. So we come back live to this battle for the lead. Excuse me, this is battle for third place. Christian Eisler still being challenged by Gama and Perez. Coming out of turn 3 now. The slow 3, 4, 5, 6 section. Back and forth the cars weave. Very little room, very little chance to try and overtake. Onto the back stretch once again, where you want to get that car accelerating down along the Riverside Drive, and nobody really able to gain an advantage over the other. Now down through the fountain section once again. Up towards 11, one of the slowest corners on the track. This is a perfect illustration, Taylor, of just how tough it is to try and overtake. It looks like, and especially knowing that there's damage on Eisler, it looks like Gama should be able to dispense with him easily, but just, it's been multiple laps now that he's been stuck behind.
Yeah, he just is not able to find the right line, or Eisler has not been able to make a mistake as they go up to turn 2. He gets right on the bumper. He catches him, but he doesn't know where to pass him. He can't find that place to it. They make their way down into turn 3. Gama's just nowhere near close enough to make a pass at this moment. He's going to have to wait for Eisler to make a mistake.
All right, we have one of our first takers on the pit stops. Thomas Ellison comes in from the mid-pack. At about 33 minutes, this isn't very much a thirsty track, so I think he should be able to get to the end from here. You can see a little bit of damage on the left rear of that HJ Motorsports Porsche. Not sure if he'll have much time to get that repaired. Wayland still our leader up at the front right now.
Pass for 4th place. It looked like that Gama just handed over the position over to Perez.
Let's take a look, see what happened. Yeah, this was on the straightaway. Interesting, not sure. They're not teammates. And Gama took a tow, so maybe something was happening with his rig. Oh, no, he clattered the wall. Oh, that looked to me like just a little bit of suspension damage did him in. We're going to watch it from on board. Doesn't explain why he handed it over, but yeah, oh my goodness, you can see how hard of a hit that was.
Well, by the looks of it, he handed the position over even before that incident, so that's very interesting of why that happened, but unfortunately for Gama, he is now out of the race, along with Thomas Ellison.
Let's jump back to 11th place. Alex Albert has Pete Mabroten just climbing all over his gearbox right now as they start another lap. He was incredibly tight to the rear of that HJ Motorsports Ford. And he's going to be a little too far back down into turn 3 where he could have an opportunity. Going to have to get closer than that if he wants to get an overtake done.
He gets hard on the brakes as they go into turn 4 up into turn 5. He gets really hard on the brakes now. You got to be careful not to put too much brakes, to carry too much speed through that section. You got to finesse through that corner. It's very easy to lose it right there, especially with that big bump as we saw both Pete and Alex go over.
And it looked like it could have been a good exit for him, but just a little slide from Mabroten cost him a chance down into turn 7. They are gaining hand over fist on the car ahead of them. Michael Derby could make this a 3-way fight in just a moment.
Yes, indeed. Michael's holding on to that 10th place right now, but as they make their way out of the fountain section, this is going to be a 3-car battle pretty soon and pretty quickly.
Might make that a 4-car battle. Takeshi Kita behind them as well. This could get very stacked up. Oh, big slide from Albert. Keeps it out of the wall, and still no place for Mabroten to go. Is he going to get desperate and send one up the inside of turn 1? Not this time. Down through 2. Over the hump. Needs to get the power off the corner. He's close. I don't know if he's close enough. And just a little bit too far back yet again.
Ben Perez is closing in up on his rival and teammate, Christian Eisler. Down into turn 7 they go.
Yep, Iceman was on the pole. Perez started this race all the way down in 6th, currently looking at getting to the podium. And I'm thinking it's looking pretty likely, especially considering Eisler's probably going to have to get that damage repaired when he comes in for a stop.
Yeah, and that's going to take time, so he is going to be probably losing several positions when pit stops start rolling around. So maybe it might be a good idea to hit a little bit earlier than the rest of these front runners. Maybe have a shot of jumping them when they come and make their pit stops, but it's all up to what the Iceman decides to do as they head down into turn 1 and 2. You gotta be so careful, especially through that hump where it's just so easy to lose the car. It almost feels weightless when you're driving over that hump, so you have to be really careful and watch out for making sure it doesn't get too loose through that section. Down into turn 3 they go.
And they are hustling these cars. You could see from the camera angles we had down that straight how close they got to the wall off the hump. So down into 5 and then up to 6. Just behind them, that car that you're seeing is Mark McDonald, who continues to climb. He's another one on a good run, starting from 8th all the way up to 5th.
And then there's Alexander Cofford right now also in the 6th position, carrying that banner for the Ferrari drivers here in the series as they make their way towards the fountain section of turn 7. But a nice run here tonight after starting in the 9th position.
For those who care about the makes of the cars, highest Ferrari right now is actually Christian Eisler. And since he was the fastest car out there in qualifying, he won the battle for that make for the qualifying competition at least, but means very little except for just a bonus point for you personally as a driver. This battle's still closer than the leaders, but the leaders are closing in on one another. Carl Moldoff has been chipping away at Wayland's lead. Oh, and Albert seems to have given the position away as he has lost it in turn 12. This time the slide did not come out well for this HJ Motorsports Ford. Look at that.
Ooh, hard hit into the wall right there.
What's interesting is this car broke loose almost immediately, it looks like.
Looks like it got a little bit too late on the brakes, and that just caused the car to snap real loose.
Okay, if we could show him right now, please. Oh my God. He backed it all the way through 13 because he couldn't get it turned around to the pit entry.
Now that is pretty cool.
Yeah, look.
It's actually a safe thing to do, probably, compared to trying to turn it around. So I got to give Alex some credit on that.
I've never seen something like that. Well, I take that back. I think earlier this year we saw the McLaren F1 car of one of our majors drivers back it into Suzuka. So Alex Albert takes a stop, unplanned, but much needed. Ooh, that gap down 3 more tenths since I last looked. What is happening to Wayland? He was looking so strong at the start. We haven't really seen these tires go away earlier in the season. So I mean, what are your thoughts on this? What is causing Moldoff to be able to catch him like this?
Possibly because Wayland might be trying to take it a little bit easy. Maybe trying to consider the fuel strategy saving game, possibly learning a little bit from Jerlicka what happened with him. Or it could be just due to the fact that the track nature is so easy. One small mistake and your race is done, compared to some of the other tracks we've been on where you have a little bit of runoff to kind of save the car. But here it's one mistake and you're done. That's it. You will not be able to recover very easily compared to some of the other tracks such as Road Atlanta or Suzuka.
How much margin for error do you leave when you drive at this track? Because I have to imagine it varies on your confidence and what you can achieve.
You have to be right on the edge. You have to be able to push that car to where you're able to make up time, gain position, but also you have to be so careful through certain sections of this track. Even something as simple as turn 1 right here. Even though it may seem like a simple...
Ben Perez is overtaking Eisler.
Yes, he is. Oh, it gets real loose, though.
And I think I think once Eisler saw that Perez was gaining on him as quick as he did not bother to defend. It looked a little bit like a wave by to me. Might have to do it again because now already Mark McDonald closing on his gearbox. Right on board with Mark. This gives a great idea of just how narrow it is through this circuit.
Yeah, Mark McDonald's been doing quite well this season. And surprisingly, especially with that strong finish that he had at Imola, he's been improving upon that in each race that we've been, staying inside the top 10 for the most part. And it looks like tonight he might actually capitalize with a possibility of another podium.
Yes, indeed, as these three cars weave their way through the fountain section one more time. Down through turn 11. Car behind them, Alex Cofford, seems to have gained a little bit of ground since we last looked. Number 127, another HJ Motorsports driver. Not many takers so far on the pit stops. I have a feeling that has mostly to do just with the difficulty to pass around here.
Look at the battle. Looking at the battle right now between Federico Montini and John Guillory. This is the battle for P8. Kind of separate a little bit, but Guillory has been closing in on the Montini of Federico and that SDS Porsche. So working their way up to turns 2, heading down that straightaway before turn 3, and been doing pretty good right now. Guillory was a little bit faster that time by, so any small mistake that Montini might make, Guillory will be there to overtake and possibly move into the next position.
Yeah, he is keeping them within his sights, looking for an opportunity. Porsche versus Porsche here, winding their way up to turn 6. One of those critical spots that Guillory's got to find the power smoothly, and it looks good, but not good enough to start to gain more time. Right now, our highest pitter in the field is Jean Carini. He is well down in 18th place, having started this race in 11th.
Oop, Jerlicka in the wall again.
Oof. This one out of turn 11. And that car is looking very, very badly shaped right now.
Yep, but he's only 2 laps down, and he's able to gain several positions even after his incident, so he is trying to scramble as many points as he can right now. The next car he's trying to pass is Maxi Sorellia, who's only on the same lap, as a matter of fact, as he is, so he can crack into the top 20, which he just has.
Yeah, Sorella had something happen because he's been sitting in the pits for quite a while at this point. Jerlicka didn't touch the wall, I should note, so all that damage that we saw was from the prior incident. Hall is in.
Justin Hall's been doing quite well. He missed his pit box, however, so now he's got to back it up. Pretty sure the pit crew was not too impressed with that pit entry.
Yeah, and that's going to be very costly as far as where he is on track, because that's multiple seconds lost. Lucio Vargas, we see coming into his pit stall.
That's how you enter a pit box properly. But Vargas has been doing quite well, running inside the top 15 right now tonight. In that number 71 Porsche. He's going to try to get back on track and try to catch up with Hugo Galaz, next car in front of him. Actually, Aaron Thacker is.
And looks like Vargas comes out not too far behind Carini. Not within striking distance, but if something happens, if there's a mistake from Thacker, he could, or excuse, from Carini. Actually, did we catch Jean Carini just clipping the wall? Let me check that. Ooh, I think he did, actually. Yeah, out of turn 4. Well, there's the mistake that Vargas is looking for. That could slow him down. This is turn 3. And then up to 4. It's just a glancing blow here, Taylor.
Yeah, just that small little bit, though, can bring a lot of damage to the car, so he's got to be careful. I'm looking, though, at William Whalen compared to Lucio Vargas. Vargas is just coming out of that small fountain section, while William Whalen is just now entering it. So pretty soon, William Whalen is going to be in a little bit more faster traffic compared to some of the other slower lap traffic. But this is going to be quite interesting to see how Whalen is going to be able to work his way through the lap traffic coming up.
So considering how close Modoff is behind him, do you think a good strategy call would be for Whalen to come in now before he hits this traffic, or try and hold out? Because, I mean, I guess he could. It is a little bit risky that if Modoff is faster than him, he could still jump him in the pit stops. Yeah,
this is where that time is to where you really have to determine what is the best call. A good call would probably be to go ahead and pit right now. That way you have clear track for you when you come out. But also then you got to worry about the second place driver. He might stay out and try to gain position and time on you. So it's really a heads up 50 audible call where you have to be very mindful of what's going on and be prepared to push hard when you get back out on track.
So here's some interesting stats for you, at least currently in the race. Of our top 5 in the points, the only one not in the top 5 right now out on track is Derlicka. But Modoff, Perez, Eisler, and Whalen all up there. Cream rises to the top, Taylor.
Yes, indeed it does. We did say this track would cause some issues for some of our points leaders here tonight, and it's already took in one of the victims as far as Derlicka.
Down to 18 minutes to go. The pit window is starting to close now. Drivers will have to be aware of just how far they can stretch it. So watch them swing it through right up to the concrete barriers through the 12, 13, and 14 section.
Ooh, Perez got a little bit too much curb. That was a little bit scary for me. He was able to recover nicely, though.
And watch our leaders right now. This is still the battle for first that you see on your screen. The black and green Porsche is Whalen. The white and green Porsche is Modoff. Right on board now, just on top of the roof of Karl Modoff. I love this angle. Gives you a little bit better. Whoa! Wow! Modoff had to really wrangle the car together off of turn 5. And a beautiful job by him, Taylor, to keep from winding up in the wall, because there's no place to go in that part.
Oh, that was just so close right there, that action going on for him. It's just almost that. I wonder what was going through his mind right now when he was going through that instance. Pretty sure it's not something we can say on air, but that was an excellent save for Modoff.
The polite term we've come up for it on GSRC is that is a code brown. We come back live. That did cost him some time. It's about a second now between Whalen and Modoff, what was hovering at about 5/10 before. Neither electing to come into the pits yet. I think they're stretching this out as far as they can go. They're not worried about the traffic. They have yet to catch Vargas. Really, a closer battle might be back for 4th. Eisler has been doing his darndest to cling to as many positions as he can. McDonald hasn't been able to make it by ever since Perez slipped through. Not sure if it's a matter of time, because it seems like ever since the incident, Eisler has been holding the fort down relatively well.
He's been able to prevent anyone from getting by him except for the top 3 that's in front of them currently, but just able to keep his consistent line as best he can, even with the damage, and probably not even going to try to really fix the damage when he gets on pit road. Maybe a little bit of damage repair while he's undergoing the pit stops of tire change, if need be, as well as adding fuel. But other than that, no major issues as far as I can see. He clips the curb quite big, gets a little air time. Down through the fountain section they go.
Only 4 cars have pitted so far, which means the vast majority of our field has yet to come in. So the pits are actually going to be an incredibly busy place here in just a moment. Looks like they can go one more because both of our leaders continue on. Attrition usually a factor in the races here, and well, if you're wondering what the attrition is like today, well, here is our DNF list. Wendell Lowe, Giuliano Romagnolo, Daniel Pinto, Francisco Montini, Thomas Ellison, Ricardo Gama, Alex Albert, Michael Derby, Jesper Derlicka, and that is all of them. Everybody else is still out running. Just a little bit of damage on the rear wing of McDonald. Excuse me, that's Guillory that we're looking at. Now, and actually there is damage on the rear wing of McDonald too. So I was safe either way, I put it. Drivers must really be taking it up to the edge to get damage like that, Taylor.
They must be, and it's really very easy to do something like that. As we might be seeing our Whaley now catching the back half of the lap traffic. Let's see if it's a time for him to pit, maybe.
I was going to say, and this should be towards the end of his fuel cell. Let's see. This car ahead of him has pit, so now would be a good time. But he likes not to.
Modoff, though, comes in. Let's see what Ben Perez does.
I think this is a good call by Modoff.
Eisler stays out. McDonald comes in. Cofford stays out. Still got a couple more of our top 10 coming through. We got Janowski now working his way out.
Janowski's been a little bit of no man's land today.
Pretty much. He decides to come in. Ooh, Montini hits the wall. Able to keep going, but let's see if he's going to pit. Nope, decides to stay out. This gives Guillory the chance to make the pass, and they make their way out of the last corner. Down the straightaway they go into turn one. Give this position over to Guillory.
We're going to watch the contact with the wall and then the pass here on the replay. On board Guillory. And to see that Porsche up in front just pancake the left side. Oof.
That's got to hurt.
There, he is easy pickings.
Just sneak to the inside, and thank you very much, Mr. Montini. I will take that from you.
Now, interesting development. I can report that Whalen has been a little bit held up. He's had to get past Vargas, and now he's also caught Caridi. Now has got to be the time for Billy to bring this car in for his scheduled stop, and indeed, there he goes.
Yes, indeed. Let's see what Eisler does. Is he going to come down pit? He's got to. This is getting very close to the fuel window. He is coming in as well, along with Cofford.
Yeah, I think this is the end of it. I think last time by we saw the drivers who hope to use strategy to try to jump the ones that they're battling with. The one that we want to watch is Modoff, who is coming across the start-finish line now. Where is Whalen? Whalen is exiting out where there's a car in front of him. Thacker was sideways. Did that cost him some time? Here comes Modoff with a head of steam. This is going to be his best chance. He's a little bit faster down the straightaway towards turn 3, holding the inside. Whalen tries to cover him off. Is he late enough on the brakes? Is he too late on the brakes? He takes it into the tires, and Carl Modoff is going to take over the lead.
I got to give Whalen some credit to try to hold that line, but it looks like he had too much speed going into the corner.
Gonna watch. Is that Thacker that we see pulling off? I think it is, because we just saw him spin, and suddenly, whoa, there's a car in the way. Thankfully didn't hold the Canadian up too much. And now they speed down towards that infamous turn 3. He can see him in the mirror. Down behind him, the Porsche getting closer and closer, ducks away, tries to outbrake him, but he tries a little too hard and has his own Alexander Rossi moment, does William Whalen. Well, he's able to continue in second, so it hurt, but it didn't sting enough to really cost him too much.
No, not really, but this does possibly give him not the opportunity to take home the checkered flag that he's been so searching for quite some time, especially since he's been running so well, but just is not able to close the deal here today. But we still have a little bit of time left, so anything can happen, especially here at Detroit.
Indeed, but how bizarre of a streak here for Carl Modoff. 3 fourth places and potentially 2 wins. Just an unusual combination of positions, but a good combination. You and I were debating on whether or not he would be able to take the championship. I sounded a little bit skeptical, but boy, he is bearing fruit to your predictions.
Yeah, Modoff, I really think Modoff, with due to the fact of how well he's been running with these top 5 finishes, you know, even though he's got that win and it looks like there may be a shot of him winning tonight, he's pretty much being like some of we've seen in other forms of racing where it's just always consistency pays out to where he could just pull away and maybe win this championship.
I think we had a bit of a penalty for John Guillory, who finds himself now back in 11th. Only driver I can see with a 22-second stop. Most of them looking at about 8 or 9 seconds. That should be roughly 15 seconds. Yeah, so that sounds like a penalty for speeding in the pit lane for the number 31. We cannot confirm at the moment, but it has certainly cost him.
All right, let's see what Modoff's able to do. He's got a couple of lap traffic in front of him of Karsten, Quinton, Gary, Schilling. I'm pretty sure Gary will be able to pull over nice as the gentleman driver he is. Yes, he does. But Karsten, Quinton, I don't know yet. We'll have to see what happens. And then Hugo Galaz is in front of him as well.
Now, did we cover in the pit stops that Eisler was overtaken by McDonald finally?
We can now.
Well, there you go, folks. Mark McDonald, the number 216. During those pit stops, I don't know if it happened on track or through strategy, but Mark has now moved himself up into 4th.
Yep, but keeping an eye on Alexander Cofford. He's closing in on this battle, and pretty soon might be able to catch up to Eisler and move in.
Hopefully that's where the bleeding will stop, because it's another 17 seconds between Cofford and Janowski from 6th to 7th. So if Eisler loses one more, I think he can take some relief knowing that maybe that's as far down as he'll go. Ooh, but Broten on an attack right now, back in 9th on Montini. Ran out of track. Montini locks him up, trying to take it through turn 3, but I don't think this battle is over yet.
No, Montini has had a brake check a little bit, had a lot of smoke out of the tires, lock up, making their way up towards turn 5 and 6. You notice how they hug that wall right there. You got to be so careful. Just one small mistake and you're in that wall very easily. So you got to be very careful, very mindful of how close you are. They make their way down into turn 7. Not close enough. Gets hard on the brakes though.
Yeah, he gets very close to the rear of Federico Montini, and a mistake here into the fountain section just does not offer enough of a chance. We saw a little duck to the inside for Pete, but it just was not meant to be. He's going to have to wait for a better chance than that.
Well, if you notice in front of him, James LeBlanc, the teammate to Pete Monroe.
Oh!
And too late. Now they all look the same.
In fact, I think he's heading into the pits. No, he's going to let him by.
Let him by.
Oh, is that a lapped car?
Yeah, yes, that was James LeBlanc.
Oh, man. Poor Pete Broten. He was on such a charge, and we've seen multiple cars out there in turn 12 just get a little bit too greedy, and another one to add his paint to that left side wall is Pete Broten.
I'm looking through all the cars right now, and surprisingly, there's only a few cars, even though there's damage to most of them, with a very different issues with their wings. I'm looking at them, and only, I say maybe 6 or 7 other drivers out there who have no major damage.
Did something happen to Cofford? He's now 6 seconds back.
Yeah, I think he did clatter the wall. I don't know where, though.
I'm looking for it. Oh, it happened just about a lap back. It was once again. Take a guess which corner.
I'm going to make a guess and say turn 13 or
12.
12
once again, yeah. This time it was a case of coming in there a little bit too greedily on the curb instead. You're going to see this car turn in, just absolutely leap into the air, and when you're in the air, you can't really turn as well. It's already losing ground to, well, I thought his teammate. No, it's Janowski who's catching up on him. Here we're going to watch one more time from on board. Wow, yeah, you cannot take that much curb in that corner. He's got about 9 to 10 seconds back to Janowski in 7th. Oh, he's got to come in. We can see there on the screen he does not have a lap time, and that to us is a sign that he's got a black flag for too much damage. The stewards think that car should not be out there and think that he has to come in.
Yeah, he's got to be careful. He's got to get it down in pit road very soon. Otherwise, he will be disqualified from this race.
Ooh. Vargas has had a serious issue. Vargas is stopped on the track. Sorry to interrupt. This is off the hump. Corvette corner. Bites another one.
That almost was right in front of our leaders, too.
Very similar to Pinto's incident. And I think really what did him in is that second hit, because this car has the engine at the rear. If he had not done that, I think he could have continued on. See it just hit the wall the first time, spin around, and then he backs it in. Boom. Yep, I think that's what caused it to smoke and force him to retire. All right, down to 3.5 minutes to go. You're not missing anything up at the front. Ever since Modov has been able to overtake Whalen, and is stretched apart at about 6 seconds. Karl Modov took the win at Imola. The only other car, the only other driver to win this season besides Derlicka. And the chances were good today that somebody else would get it, considering Derlicka's early problems. It's like it's going to remain at only 2 drivers. So as close as the points are, it's kind of funny to think that it's been dominated by 2 up at the top step of the podium.
Yeah, and it's not the same 2 who we thought we would. We thought originally that Perez and Eisler would be the ones to come out here and show these rookies and other drivers that they are ones to be reckoned with. But yes, Perez and Eisler are still showing their dominance by making sure they're staying in the top 5. But a lot of these new players, such as Derlicka, Modov, and even a couple of others like Mark McDonald, are showing that they can hang with the big boys here of the PRL Tuesday night series, and are showing quite well that this is anyone's game.
Right on board with Takeshi Kita, doing his usual thing. He started way back in 17th. Right now he's sitting in 10th, but he's got to hold off a charging John Guillory. As this battle is going on, I can report that Crawford has not come in yet, and I think this is the point where he has to come and do it, because he's on his 4th lap with that black flag. And actually, well, this is the position. That's Janowski overtaking him for 6 right there.
Yeah, Crawford's got to come in right now. And unfortunately, we have someone had an issue. Saw a lot of tire smoke. Might have been Thacker.
Well,
yeah, he hit.
Yeah, I think we're going to get a replay of that one. We've already seen Thacker have problems multiple times. This is another corner that's caught a lot of drivers out. Ooh, lost at entry, clattered over the curb, and he found the wall. Crawford is staying out. Is he going to disappear on us?
Not yet, but that soon may happen.
I think he's going to be scored at the back of the field is what's going to happen here. I'll try and get some confirmation to see exactly what will go down with him. But let's take a look at Modov through the fountain section. I think we'll get the white flag this time by. Should be enough time, these 30 seconds, to get to the start-finish line. Oh, and now Crawford is gone. So I wondered about that. It looks like finally the iRacing stewards. That was not the stewards here in this league. That was the official iRacing software that told him, you are done.
Yeah, I know that all that too well as the white flag waves for Modov one more time.
Similar to last week, we saw the white flag come out just as the leader comes across the line. Hopefully Modoff planned for it. This time he had to take an extra stop at Road Atlanta, but he still finished quite well with that 4th place. Doesn't look like he's slowing the car down. Everybody else is in the same position as him regardless. So up to turn 6, onto the backstretch one more time. He's got 6 seconds back to William Whalen. There is no threat back there. Billy's still looking for that first win this season. It is yet to come. Into the fountain section for the final time here for Carl Modoff. Did not expect him to win here today. He started in 2nd. He got overtaken by Whalen early in the race in the very first corner. Looked like Whalen was going to be the car to beat. But then a mistake in the pit stops, trying to battle with this man, with Carl Modoff, cost him the lead, outbraking himself. So as he comes to the line, the number 48 is going to win his 2nd race of the season. Carl Modoff takes the victory. Whalen with 2nd. Ben Perez holding on to the final podium position, but not by much. P7 under attack as Montini and Mabroten are actually side by side right now, down into turn 7 on the attack. And it looks like he's not going to get it this corner. Oh, he tries to send a dive down into turn 8, but I don't think that was ever working.
No, and I think that might have gave Montini the opportunity. Ooh, he gets a little bit wide. Never mind. Commentator's curse. I'm sorry. So they go down for the final time.
Federico, you got to make it for 3 more corners, buddy. Can't let go of it now. I think he's got it. Federico Montini's going to get this 7th place, fending off Pete Mabroten, who was desperately trying to pull it away. Then Takesha and Guillory, that was all for position. That was basically 4 cars within a second. Back in 11th, just behind them, Caridi holding off Valenzuela.
Even with all that damage, Jean Carini was able to hold on and get a 11th place finish. Not bad for the Hispano-American team driver.
And Valenzuela is our last car on the lead lap. So with that, we're going to take a quick break here on the Global SimRacing Channel. We'll come back with the unofficial results as well as driver interviews. Stick around because on screen, you're going to see all the upcoming races here on the GSRC. Welcome back to Belle Isle here in Detroit. We expected a little bit of attrition, and we got it, but boy, were there some big names that fell by the wayside today. One that didn't was Carl Modoff, our winner here in the 5th round, with William Whalen following him home. It was a mistake of Whalen's own making, unfortunately, that cost him what was a potential win. He finishes in 2nd. Ben Perez rounds out our podium, having started in 6th. I did not think he would be able to climb up and do that well, but props to him. Mark McDonald went from 8th himself to 4th, with Christian Eisler starting on the pole, and unfortunately some contact with the wall was costly. He finishes in 5th. Joseph Janowski gets a 6th place, having started in 10th. That was helped along by Cofford having some issues. We'll get to him in a second. Federico Montini takes 7th, with Pete Mabroten charging the whole way to try and take it away. He finishes 8th. Takeshi Kida was right behind them in 9th, and John Guillory rounds out the top 10.
Finishing in the 11th position was Jean Carini, followed by Cristobal Valenzuela. Those are the 12 drivers who finished on the lead lap. Hugo Galaz, Karsten Quince finished in 13th and 14th, followed by Aaron Thacker in 15th position. Justin Hall will finish in the 16th position. Alexander Cofford will come home in 17th after he was disqualified due to the fact of too much damage, followed by Gary Schilling in 18th. Lucio Vargas will come home in the 19th position, and Maxi Corellia will come home in 20th.
21st. Oof. The driver that looked like he might have a good chance at the championship just saw some of his hopes dashed. 21st was Jesper Delica. James LeBlanc finished behind him in 22nd. Michael Derby gets 23rd, with Alex Albert in 24th. Ricardo Gama comes home in 25th. Another fast driver who suffered today, Thomas Ellison in 26th. Francisco Montini is 27th. Daniel Pinto just can't get this season together. He gets 28th. And then Romagnolo and Lowe did not start today. Looks like we have our winner waiting to talk to us, Carl Modoff, who started on the front row and finished 1 position up. Let's see what his thoughts were on this race as we get him into the room and get him mic'd up for our interview. There he is, Carl Modoff, P1 today. It seems like you only know how to finish in 2 positions, 4th or 1st. What is it about those 2 spots for you?
I don't know, but hopefully I start finishing more P1s and P4s, because that's a lot more fun.
Yeah, and you had to work for this one. The last race at Imola that you won, you were up front, you held him at bay, and it seemed like an easy win. But here, boy, talk to us about that pass down into turn 3 after the pit stops.
Yeah, I don't know, William. We were about the same speed, and I was just holding on to him, I was trying to save gas, but trying to pressure him at the same time, because it's so easy to make a mistake here. And he didn't make any mistakes, and we caught lap traffic. So I was like, all right, maybe they'll hold him up just a little bit. So I'm going to pit a lap early. And then, I kind of got a little bit of time on him and had a great run. And I was just like, it's now or never, really. I'm never going to be able to pass him. And, he went down the inside and just locked up a little bit, which really worked out. And the fact that he went into the barriers was really nice for me, because it gave me a lot of breathing room for the rest of the race, because that was very stressful.
Jumping back to the opposite end of the race, tell us about the start. Were you caught off guard by William Whalen being able to get by you, or just a rolling start's not a strong suit for you?
It's just hard there. It's the first time I started on the front row a race here, and with my field of view, I can't see anything to my right. So I was trying to hold my look to the right button to see when he was going to go, and by the time I saw that, it was too late, and they both did a great job and got a good start. So props to them on the start. That was just a good job on them, and I missed it a little bit there.
Yeah, technical limitations can be frustrating. I've been there myself with running a single screen. So one more before we let you go. You've been leading the championship, and now you're looking at potentially fighting for the championship towards the end, because we've hit halfway. I mean, how does that make you feel?
Pretty good. Yeah, it's definitely changed my expectations. I'm in it to win it now. So if I could find more time to practice, I'm going to need to somehow do that. So yeah, it's been really fun so far. And thanks guys for doing this. I really appreciate it. Thanks for everyone. That organizes this. This is a great time, and I'm glad it exists.
Well, thank you for coming and talking to us and for putting on a good show. Congratulations on the win, sir.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Take it easy.
That was Carl Modoff. And up next, Taylor is going to be talking to Billy Whalen.
Here with William Whalen here, finishing in second in his portion tonight. William, you've had a really good run tonight, but just that one mistake cost you. Tell us what happened and how were you able to recover?
Yeah, first of all, I want to say good race to Carl. Congrats on the win. That was a pretty big win. Yeah, I hate to blame it on anything, but my brakes coming out of the pits didn't want to work for me. I usually use a little over 50% brake pressure, and for some reason it only went to about 25. So I was struggling for a couple laps after the pits because I had to get used to it. So I don't know if I have to recalibrate them or what.
Huh. Very interesting. I've never heard of issues such as that severe as far as equipment-wise. Usually we have to worry about an internet connection or something like that, but never really thought about a brake issue for the sim rig. So, but still a great run. Had a great opportunity to lead several laps here tonight. But we move on to the next race. How are you feeling confident moving on forward?
What track is next week? Is it Montreal?
Montreal is next week.
Should be a good week. Local track. So, yeah, hopefully I do good on that.
Well, look forward to seeing you racing there at Montreal. Again, congratulations on your second place finish here at Detroit.
Thank you. Have a good week.
That was William Whalen, second place finisher. And finally, the last step on the podium went to Ben Perez. Ben, you were 6th in practice, 6th in qualifying. Did that make you nervous as you lined up on the grid, considering how tough it is to overtake here?
A little. It's a really tough track, I'll tell you that. I was a little nervous going in, especially with lap 1. I know last season we had a pretty good clean start. This season was no different. We had a pretty good clean start, but I ended up finding some pace throughout the race. I guess just getting a little more confident with the car, with the track and whatnot. So I ended up passing a few people. So that was good. I'll take a podium.
Yeah, and now that drop weeks are going to be applied, obviously, that'll help you a little bit with some results that were a little bit farther down. That said, Carl Modoff seems to be stunningly consistent. Well, what have you been watching as far as him, and have you learned anything seeing this newcomer come in and prove to get a couple wins over you?
I'll be honest, I haven't really been paying too much attention. I've just kind of been running my own races. But the guys are quick. It's good to see I've said it multiple times now that it's good to see the competition coming out for the especially for the broadcast, because I'm sure it's been a good show. But I think just some more consistent finishes, maybe a few more podiums for me, and hopefully I can get the championship. I need to get a win under my belt, I'll tell you that, because I haven't gotten one yet. Carl and William have been just insanely quick this season, so props to them. They're quick.
Absolutely. We've noted that, too, that you've yet to get one this season, but certainly you've been showing you can stay up there in the points as you're still on the heels of Carl so far. One last one before we let you go. You have the pirate flag as your icon. I have been curious for a while now. Why the pirate flag, the Jolly Roger?
On Discord. Oh, that's actually, I play semi-competitive Rocket League, and I play for a team called the Pirates, so that's why. Yeah, you and
Amjad will have to get together. So, all right. Well, congratulations on a podium. We'll see you in Canada.
Thanks.
That was Ben Perez, third place finisher here today. And that's going to wrap things up. Of course, we want to give a big thank you, first of all, before we go, to SIMMSA for sponsoring this series. And again, if you want to check them out, it is SIMMSA.net. Definitely go give them a look if you want help with your sim racing career. As well, we want to thank the Precision Racing League for organizing the American iRacing Tuesday series. Of course, a lot of people have to work behind the scenes to make this happen. We can't thank them enough for not only choosing GSRC, but for all that they do to get these races off the ground. Thanks to the companies that provide the software and hardware for our broadcasts. You can see them listed here on your screen. Additional thanks go to Eric Ekholm and June Lalonde, who provide our wonderful music. See the screen for how to get a hold of more of their great work. Thanks to the team today, Taylor, Amjad, and Dougie. If you'd like to find out more about GSRC, including upcoming races, you can find it at globalsimracingchannel.com. You can also check us out on social media. We're on Twitter at GSR Channel, Facebook at Global SimRacing Channel, and Instagram at GSRC_Gram. As we mentioned, we're just basically hopping across the border. We're going over to Montreal. That'll be Tuesday, October 23rd at 9 p.m. Eastern, just 1 week from today. We also have upcoming races for other series listed on the screen, so check those out and mark them down on your calendar. However, until next time, race clean, race hard. I'll see you on the track.